Hey kids, this is Aaron from the podcast that wouldn't die, and Kevin and I use Zencastr. You think you're better than us, that you're using something else? You're wrong. Zencastr's the place to be. Who are you to deny it?
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code DIEHARD and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time for you to share your story.
Only a fool would give up a chance for a 30% discount.
For 10 centuries it has waited to be awakened, to be worshipped again like a god, to fill the skies, to cast its shadow over the earth, to release its fury.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, Zarin.
What's up?
This week, we're discussing the horror science fiction classic Q, The Winged Serpent, starring David Carradine, Michael Moriarty, Richard Roundtree, Candy Clark, if you know who that is.
Why do I know who that is? That name sounds very familiar.
She's been in some stuff. I'm trying to think of is there anybody else in this movie that I need to even mention?
Kwai Chang Caine. Did you say him?
I led with David Carradine in his most bizarre performance ever.
I don't know if it's his most bizarre.
Sad but true. Now that you mentioned it, it might be Death Race 2000, if I'm being honest. Anywho, each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genres with a comedic twist. Aaron, what's up with you?
Well, kids, this is going to be released later, but 'tis the night before elections when all through the house, all the children are terrified, and their mother had to tell them to stay off the blogs and the 4chan, and I assured them all that we'll just get pizza and watch movies tomorrow.
Is that what you told them?
Yeah, and that America will still stand no matter what happens.
I've often said, I don't like to get very political on the show, but I am basically...
Oh really?
I know, newsflash. Aaron has no problem dropping bombs. My attitude is it's like, after school tomorrow, I'm literally going to the movies. I'm turning off the phone, and I'm going to go
Turn off the phone? You're one of the people I thought I was going to have to block tomorrow for the minute-by-minute updates.
Absolutely not. I'm turning it off. Now, it's going to be a test of will. No question. Yeah. I'm going to want to...
There's an itch. And will you scratch it?
Will I scratch it? So my goal, and hold me to it, is I will have no election information until Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning, I will allow myself to figure it out. But it's like, I remember 4 years ago where I was up half the night and my heart was beating like a jackhammer and no answers the next day. So...
I'm thinking I'm going to watch Kill Bill, the complete series. That's a solid 6 hours. Speaking of Carradine, I'm going to watch 6 hours of Kill Bill after I eat a gummy in bed with my Costco pizza and wake up to a bright new day.
That's all you can do. That's all you can do. We voted, so let the chips fall where they may. So such is life. No, it's it literally. I have almost trauma of 4 years ago because we were in Colorado. We're going deep. We were in Colorado because Becky, my wife, was, as you may know, donated a kidney. That while we were in Colorado, while this was going down,
which I still think is crazy. What if I need Becky's kidney? Now I gotta go kill someone in Colorado.
You might. You might. Sweet Lord. I don't even know what I'm seeing. It might be Conclave and the re-release of Godzilla Zero. Who the hell knows? I'm
That
just
sounds
gonna
like
go.
trash.
I'm just
That
gonna
sounds
go
like
in there.
pure trash.
What's starting after this one? I'll take that too. It's kind of what I'm gonna do. So, booyah, good times.
Then you're just abandoning your family. What will they be doing while you're hiding at the theater till midnight?
That's good. That's a good question. No, I mean, honestly, in all reality, it's like we're cord cutters, so it's going to be social media that we kind of figure it out. But Becky's not on social media, so she'll just be watching Love Island or something, and maybe oblivious.
Love Island. Not Sister Wives, not 90 Day Fiance. She's abandoned us.
Those are the worst shows ever, by the way. All the 90 Day Fiance, it's the
Oh
most
my
horrible,
God.
depressing
Oh my
stuff.
God. They're so fake. It's like as soon as a new couple gets on, you find there were two people in this season that had already broken up, but they'd thrown their names in the hat, and they decided just to be on the show for fun, even though they'd
What?
already broken up. Yeah. The people in
That's BS.
Iceland had already broken up. So everything is fake.
It
And
is.
the couple, there's always poor Nigerians. They used to be the devil because they were stealing your identity. Now it's all like white women coming to abuse Nigerian men.
Yes. Well, those are your two choices. You have kind of single women in their 50s reaching out for 22-year-old Nigerian boys,
Yes.
or 60-year-old dudes hunting like the Philippines for like
Oh,
18-year-old. It's like, oh, it's horrifying.
that's just every day of the Philippines. I'm pretty
It's
sure.
it's awful. It's always, especially for the Nigerian dudes, where it's clear I can barely stand the sight of you, but I'm gonna go through with this sham of a marriage just to become American citizens. It is a
Dude,
horror show.
it's like when you read those old Victorian novels. It's like you either get married or you're a burden to your family. Love will come with time.
It's Jane Austen. It's Jane
It's Jane
Austen for a
Austen.
new
You're going to
generation.
be turned out into the streets unless you marry the old dude who's like 30 years older, 10 years older than your own father
Because
with the
what was it?
pox.
Was it Pride and Prejudice where what's her name was like supposed to marry the parson or whatever, and she's like F off.
Yes.
I ain't doing that. And then her like ugly friend has to marry the parson. Basically, it's just like
She's like,
you're
I can't believe it.
attractive,
Why would you do that? She's like, what other choice do I have?
right? I'm a hideous monster, so I
I'm a
have to
hideous
marry
freak. My family is poor, so I have to let the old creepy minister paw me. But most of the time, I send him out of the house for most of the day. Then I can have some quiet.
We're talking about all sorts of stuff. Aaron, give us your 30-second synopsis of Q, also called Q, the Winged Serpent.
First of all, it's not even a serpent. Because I was like, well, maybe I'm wrong with the definition. And I was not. A serpent is a snake. Now, do
Correct.
snakes have arms and legs? No, they do not.
Not typically.
Not typically. Not, or not ever.
Or beaks.
So, or beaks. And nor do they lay eggs in a nest.
Correct. Correct.
So, cue the winged serpent, New York City. There's a nest of a giant egg of a creature. There are human sacrifices going on. For what reason? We don't know. Does it matter? No, it does not. Yes, they cracked the egg, but guess what? There were more than one nest, which I don't understand because everybody I knew had snakes, always had to keep them under a heater, but you can keep an egg on a nest that's a serpent out in the freezing cold, blah, blah, blah. The more I see it, the more I like it. Michael Moriarty at his most bizarre.
He is chewing scenery like you wouldn't believe. It is the
Oh
craziest.
my God. Did you
craziest.
realize how tall he is? He's really tall.
He's a tall drink of water.
He's like 6'4", in Law and Order, he looked like he was like you could blow him over. Now suddenly he's like, must smash.
The craziest shit about Michael Moriarty, who in my mind was like this accomplished actor. I mean, he was the district attorney on the first season or so
of Law and Order. Very serious role.
Very serious. I mean, then you roll back the clock a little bit, and he's the main character of The Stuff. He's in frickin' Q, the Winged Serpent.
Can't get enough of that stuff.
What else? He was doing some other stuff where it was just like, what are you doing?
Some deep diving. Little drinkity. Multiple marriages, and then he went and hid out in Canada.
Oh, do you know this, or are you making up stuff?
No, I looked this up.
Oh, damn.
He's been married like 4 times. Alcohol was the reason for every marriage breakup. And then he went and declared some like he was in exile in Canada. He was putting taxes or something for the government or something.
He's notoriously difficult to work with. Notoriously difficult, which is why his stint on Law and Order was not that long. When Sam Waterston was available, they said, "Good day to ye, Michael Moriarty," and brought in Sam Waterston, and that was that. So,
boom. But Sam Waterston was also very accomplished.
Absolutely.
I mean, he was in The Great Gatsby.
He was. He was in The Killing Fields, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh yeah, that was upsetting.
He did all sorts of stuff, but that's neither here nor there. Had you ever seen Q before?
Yes, because you made me watch this for our other show.
Really? Is that possible?
How else would I have ever seen this?
I remember as a young child.
I swear we watched this like 2 months ago.
No.
Do you have a list?
Maybe for Joe Bob. Did we watch it for Joe Bob? Is that possible?
Because why else in the name of God would I have watched it?
I remember.
And usually when we watch it on Joe Bob, it's because we're going to put it on the show.
That's not true. Early on,
a lie. That's a damn dirty lie.
I am a Joe Bob aficionado, where I thought you were as well, but you've become kind of a fair weather Joe Bob fan.
I really like Joe Bob when he wrote for the syndicated newspaper. Okay. That was really funny shit, because it'd start off that he was writing about the movie, then he'd veer off into politics for like 6 paragraphs and somehow wrap it up at the end about the movie, and no matter how terrible it was, it'd be Joe Bob says check it out.
Right. Well, 6
boobs, 9 heads, 1 archangel. Check it out.
I had seen the box at the local video store when I was a kid, and it looked terrifying. Here's this dinosaur-looking thing with like a pterodactyl with Godzilla or whatever the hell it is, and he's hanging onto the Chrysler Building or whatever. And its whole thing is, it's Quetzalcoatl, the famous Aztec god, the Winged Serpent. But we call it Q because that's all the time you'll have before it tears you apart. That was what was on. That was on the box, and I'm like, damn! I did not see this movie until maybe within the last 5 years was the first time I saw it, because it always kind of stuck around. I didn't know who else was in this. I didn't know Michael Moriarty was in this. I didn't know Kwai Chang Caine was in this, which is a
Snatch the pebble from my hand, grasshopper.
I have to talk about David Carradine for half an hour at least, because he was cast in Kung Fu. He knew no martial arts of any kind.
It was supposed to go to Bruce Lee, and they said, he's too Asian.
Right. So we're picking a white guy who we think can pass for Asian. I don't even know what that means. Anyway, he didn't pick up martial arts until much later. And when he was in... by the time he was in Lone Wolf McQuade opposite Chuck Norris, where Chuck Norris was a karate champion, like multiple-time karate champion, and they almost got into a real fight because Chuck kind of knows what he's doing, and David Carradine does not. So he was kind of wild punches or kicks, and he was connecting on a few of those, and Chuck was getting pissed off. Anyway, he's in this movie. This movie is kind of the symphony of crazy hairlines between Moriarty's crazy hairline and David Carradine's thin straw-like hair. It is wild what they're working with here. So that's neither here nor there.
I think Carradine was still bringing it. He was trying to take this seriously.
If you say so.
I don't know what Moriarty was doing, but when you look at Carradine's face, you can tell he was still trying to act.
Well,
Moriarty was swinging from the chandelier.
This movie, the whole Michael Moriarty subplot is so bizarre. It makes absolutely no sense. So why don't we jump right in?
So it is just this whole movie is just so bizarre.
Yes.
That you have to kind of like it because it makes no fucking sense.
Right.
There's no why. I just kicked the camera. You're like, there's no explanations given.
Well, there are kind of half-ass explanations given. Essentially, okay, so Quetzalcoatl.
Michael Moriarty has some girlfriend with this awesome apartment. Why is she dating this fucking loser?
Right. Do they end up back together at the end? I know David Carradine's just like, hey, go back to your girl. Whatever. You loser.
You loser, you son of a bitch. I didn't know the government was going to give me where's my $1 million, you know?
I don't know why he doesn't get his deal. It makes
I would have taken my briefcase and gotten that out of there.
Absolutely. I'd have gotten a different lawyer because that was goddamn ridiculous. Anyway, so Michael Moriarty is the wheelman, meaning he drives the cars of these guys who rob, jewelry stores or some shit?
Yeah. A snatch and grab or something?
100%. But he doesn't typically go in. He's just the driver. But this occasion, they kind of force him. They give him a gun, force him to go in with them. Smash cut. 2 seconds later, he's running out with the jewels, presumably. It's like a briefcase. And he gets hit by a taxi. The briefcase goes skittering off somewhere. And now he's just on the loose, right?
Yeah. And the briefcase just disappears.
Never to be heard or thought of again. And he's just wandering around. There's a bizarre scene where he's like playing the piano and scatting and bebopping at the bar, so much so that the bartender's just like, I'm just turning on the jukebox.
He was there to audition.
I understand, but
but he was so boring. Yeah, the guy just went over and plugged in the jukebox.
It's a sad situation. He stumbles upon. For some reason, he goes to the top of the Chrysler building. He's evading a security guard at one point. And while he's there, he discovers a nest made of like kindling and shit. I mean, it's clearly like they went to the park, found they did some tree trimming, and that's the GD nest with a huge egg sitting in it.
It was like Big Bird's nest. And
100%.
you know how Big Bird would literally take up the whole nest. That's how big this giant egg is.
Right.
And then why do they keep calling it it was like, they were talking about the serpent was supposed to have feathers and stuff. It had no fucking feathers.
The wings are kind of feathery, is what
they are not. They're kind of leathery. There was no feathers anywhere.
So there's that shit going on. The bad guys his partners are after him because they think he's got the loot and all this shit. So there's all that stuff going on. Meanwhile, there is a killer on the loose who's like kind of an Aztec priest who, and not explained at all, somehow gets men to fly to him to New York from wherever, Cleveland or Detroit or whatever the case may be, and just offer themselves up as sacrifices to the Aztecs, where they literally like cut all the skin, which was kind of effective. They like zoom in on him, like kind of cutting.
Flailed alive, but they were volunteers.
Right. These were willing sacrifices for this. Now, Aztecs, as we know, are from the greater Mexico area, essentially.
Right.
But these dudes who are sacrificing themselves are as white
businessmen. Yeah, they're white businessmen who follow ancient middle, Central America,
Mesoamerican.
South American, Mesoamerican, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I mean, at least the chief guy had a little flavor to him. But everybody else were just white dudes from Chicago getting flailed.
And that was so ridiculous as well. So it's like they're not showing the priest's face. He's wearing like an Aztec mask. So you think, oh, it's going to be a grand reveal. It was actually the deputy district attorney. No, it was just some rando who did not, frankly, he looked like Armenian or something. He wasn't even.
It was whoever they could find.
Whoever they could find. So there's never any explanation as to
they were just looking for someone with a little melanin.
Clearly. And it was like, no explanation as to why these guys are offering themselves up for the sacrifice. Why this guy is sacrificing people in New York City. He's not in Mexico City or something. He's in New York City, which is, as far as I know, geographically not located near Mexico. And I guess we're supposed to think that there's a connection between these sacrifices that are occurring and the fact that now the Winged Serpent is flying around, although we don't really see that. They don't. I mean,
I assume they're calling to it. That's why it's here.
That's what we are to assume. But it's not like you see the sacrifice and then a portal opens up, or the ground rumbles, or lightning strikes, and then here's the Winged Serpent. It's just, oh yeah, I'm sacrificing people. And there's a great scene where the cops find the body of somebody's flayed. And it is the shittiest, like, Play-Doh character laying in the bed. It's supposed to be, it looks like more like a burn victim than somebody flayed alive. And the police officer
He may have been flayed, but then he was slow roasted.
Absolutely. The cop basically just throws a pillow on the body. He's just like, oh, Jesus. Are you contaminating the evidence, bro? It's like, you can't just throw shit around. Oh, sweet Jesus. So.
How do you spell Quetzal? Oh, there we go.
Q-U-E.
So,
while this is going on, there's also people like sunbathing on the roofs of the greater New York metropolitan area who, out of nowhere, this gigantic frickin' prehistoric creature swoops down and nibbles them up and is flying around dripping blood and viscera. So people are walking down the street and getting dribbled with blood. But when they look up, they're looking directly into the sun, so they can't see. This is what they said, that Q, the Winged Serpent, knows like just how to fly, just so the sun's always on its back. So if you look up, you can't really see it because the sun is shining in your eyes, which makes absolutely no sense. Because believe it or not, everyone's not standing in a group together in one spot, right? They're scattered all over the city. So, oh, sweet Jesus. Anyway, Aaron is just surfing the internet right now, pretending to pay attention. What are you doing?
I am looking up Quetzalcoatl to find out, like, if there's some prophecy for when it's supposed to return. It's like the god of learning and the morning sun. It's not the god of I'm coming to wipe out New York and Chicago.
No, he's like the Zeus equivalent, essentially, or the Odin equivalent. He's like the head of the pantheon. If I may be making this up, he's head of the pantheon of Aztec gods, is my understanding. So, but this thing does not appear to be like intelligent. It just appears to be like a monster.
It's like a smooth Godzilla, like the Sphinx cats of Godzillas.
Well, because it is literally claymation. It is a claymation.
Even though this is known as the feathered serpent.
Yes, correct. It is, when they finally show it, it is the worst thing you've ever seen. It's Davy and Goliath quality. It is Gumby quality. Truly, it is the stupidest shit. It's not scary at all. And it's bad when they show it. But in the final countdown the conflagration that occurs at the end, when the cops are like, we're going to shoot this thing out of the sky, ignoring the fact they're in the middle of a city of 8 million people. And they're just shooting. There'd be people would be killed all over the place.
I love that in all the movies. It's like in every Transformer movie, in every Godzilla, King Kong, blah, 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 blah. It's monsters just walking through major metropolitan, billions and billions of dollars worth of damage. Everyone's homeless. There's no electricity and water anymore.
No, it'd be a freak show. But what makes it hilarious is that up to this point, there's just been this thing where the creatures, like somebody's like, there's a window washer scene, and the frickin' off camera, you hear Rah! And then you hear crunch, and then the window washer doesn't have his head anymore.
The thing is so big, it would be so loud.
Yes. It's like literally like a 747 swooping down.
Flying in front of a glass building surrounded by other glass buildings.
Yes.
And nobody saw a thing.
Yes. When Michael Moriarty finds the nest, he finds like a skeleton. Explain how that's possible, right? Did he literally just pick up the person, go, and
like
pull
the
it out?
cartoons. There's just the fishbone they pull out.
Exactly. Right. Licked every little bone clean.
Every little finger bone. Well, I think he cooks it like the dragons in Game of Thrones. So he cooks it till it's bone drop. Just like a good beef rib. So maybe they can do it like the fish.
It's possible. It's possible. I mean, like literally.
Finger looking good.
Michael Moriarty goes, it must be that sunbather. It must be her skeleton. Because here's the bracelet that she was wearing. The bracelet survived? It's a naked, bloody skeleton with just a bracelet on.
It seems to me that gold has a low melt point.
No, there's no flame throwing. You're kind of adding your own little there's no fire breathing. It's like a bird.
Did it move the watch over so you could get that last little bit and push the bracelet back?
100%. So at the end of the movie, where the cops are shooting indiscriminately into other buildings across the way, there's a scene where Richard Roundtree, who I love, he was John Shaft in the immortal Shaft. We've done a couple movies with Roundtree lately. He was in Maniac Cop
I've never seen Shaft. Shut your mouth.
He's one bad mother. Shut your mouth. I'm talking about Shaft. No, great, good stuff. He's in this. And the creature swoops down on him. And it picks him up, and you see it's clearly like a bird claw or something.
It looked like an old chicken foot coming down.
An old chicken foot picks him up and then just flings him. And it is the shittiest, like, Gumby claymation ever. Of like this, like, floppy limbs. Ah! And multiple people are killed in that fashion, where it's just like, throw a mannequin out a window. Don't do that horrible claymation. That's all I'm saying.
I just want to say,
please.
This is a non sequitur. Speaking of chicken feet, I was at Walmart and there's a giant pack of chicken feet.
Yes.
But they don't call it chicken feet.
What do they
call it? You know what Walmart calls it?
What?
Chicken paws.
And they're good for voodoo rituals? I've seen them at Walmart as well, and I don't know what they're for. I don't ask. I don't know, but I can tell you chicken don't have paws. I mean, there must be some recipe that calls for chicken paws.
Oh, I've had dim sum. I've had the chicken feet at dim sum with black bean sauce.
Oh, well, there you go. It all makes sense.
If you're gonna you can use them to make like soup and bone broth because it's just fat and collagen and all that.
And bone or something, right? It's like
and
there's not enough meat on it. It's just like
there were some big old fatty feet when I was in San Francisco. It was like a giant chicken paw. You're like,
no chicken paws for me.
They are hard to eat since they are 1,000 little bones. So you're sitting there.
I'm not eating that. So Michael
Nor did the
Moriarty.
friends I went to dim sum with. I'm like, you gotta try it. They're like,
I'm trying to get the train back on the tracks.
whoop whoop.
Michael Moriarty, I said, has stumbled upon the nest. Again, it's it's in the Chrysler building in the middle of town. Are you telling me no one's seeing this giant frickin' thing flying into a huge hole? Because again, the hole would have to be gigantic in the side of this building for this gigantic thing to get in and hide in there.
And he's obviously flying into
Yes.
Central Park to pull trees out. So not only is it a serpent, it's a serpent who's built this crazy nest where there's really not any room for the serpent to actually be inside there, if you'll notice.
Correct.
How would the serpent ever be inside there?
No, impossible. But not
It's
nearly
impossible.
enough room.
There's not enough room, and quite frankly, the openings
Not big enough.
are not big enough for anything like that to get in, especially with an egg that size. I mean,
Right,
if your
there's
pooper
window.
hole is that big, how big is the rest of you?
100%. So Michael Moriarty discovers it, and he gets basically the bad guys get the drop on him, and are going to take him and kill him. He's like, I'll lead you to the jewels or whatever they are. Takes him up to the Chrysler building and says, "Oh, they're up there. Go on, go up in there." And they get eaten by the creature.
Because they're very trusting. They'll be like, "Oh, okay, you stay down here where you can just run down the stairs. Yeah, we'll just go up. Hey, what's going on? I gotta go see what's happened to my friend.
Why is my friend screaming? Why is blood pouring down like as if a bucket was dumped on my face? Right, my cherry. No, it makes absolutely no sense. So, but Michael Moriarty is like, I'm going to use this information because he gets arrested because some other people who were involved in the crime named him as being the driver. And this all happens.
I mean, about 1,000 people, including the person who ran him over, saw him walk out of there with a briefcase.
100%. So he goes, I will tell them where to find the Winged Serpent as long as they, pardon me from all crimes and give me $1 million as well. And they agree.
I love how New York put that all together in about 2 seconds.
In 2 seconds. They're like, sure. Of course, then the cops go up there and all they find is the egg, which is evidence of, hey, he was right. Here it is. And instead they're like, hey, the deal was for finding the big old dinosaur creature. Sorry, deal's off. And now you're also going to prison. No money for you. It makes none of that makes any sense.
No, dude, I told you what you gotta do. You gotta just put a big mat over it.
A circus tent. A circus tent over the Chrysler building. Right. Oh, God.
Drop it, man. See, you didn't listen. I'm a big man now.
I have these bad dreams. These bad dreams. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is not the Stanislavski method. Maybe it is. I don't know. This is the crazy. His performance.
I think there was open drinking on this set.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. They establish that he lives with this woman who loves him.
It's too good for him, clearly.
Clearly too good for him. And the moment he comes home, she's like, "Don't hit me again." Like they're establishing that this is a bad dude. You drinks too much, and then you hit me, and it's like, Jesus Christ! Is this the protagonist of this movie? Is this the person we're following?
It's so terrible. Yeah. I'm a big dude now. They're gonna respect me. I liked you better when you were just a small time crook. Ridiculous. I didn't like either of them. Why didn't the Winged Serpent swoop in now and take a
100%.
snap into that Slim Jim?
So, slap it to a Slim Jim. And then it literally... So then there's a long scene where the cops are chasing the voodoo... I call them voodoo. The Aztec priest, and there's running across. rooftops, and it was like so bizarre. It was like, are we just killing time? Are we just
They
laying
are
our down? This
killing
movie's only
time
65 minutes. We need to have a
because they
chase.
haven't killed Godzilla yet, so it's coming.
Right. And that's the final thing where it's like, again,
Or King Kong. Oh my God! How about the end where they finally injured him after he's killed the entire police force? They've shot him with 1,000 bullets,
right.
which I assume would be like someone throwing grains of sand at us,
Right.
and finds a pyramid to claw on like
Crash
he was
into,
back
yeah.
home. Why did I ever leave Central Mexico? Boo. I just realized this is a whole sub story about immigrants and immigration.
Oh, that's exactly what it's about. That's the central theme of this movie.
The central theme is don't immigrate, legally or otherwise, because you come to America, it's a bad place. Look what happens. They kill our gods on a pyramid sculpture.
Is this a comedy?
I don't think it was meant to be, but in fact is. Because it is too bizarre to be possibly taken seriously.
It's just too bizarre. It is so bizarre. I can't even.
And honestly, I think you have to watch it a couple times. The first time I saw it, I'm like, this is so terrible. And now I realize it's so terrible. And the music at the beginning, I wrote this down. It's like the beginning of Ed Wood. That was like, this is fantastic.
And this is Larry Cohen, who did the stuff.
I wrote that down.
He did It's Alive. He's done all of our
Dude,
favorites.
I'm like, I know that name.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Any last
Oh
thought?
yeah, how about this? You neglected to mention the first dead skin dude had the biggest fucking dick.
I did not notice.
They even skinned his giant dick.
What are you? What? Oh, you're talking about the dude in the hotel? Is that what you're talking about? Yes. I did notice his enormous, bizarre package. I don't know how.
You did not write it down.
Well, again, it's like I've never flayed someone. You kept saying flailed. Flailed is.
I know. I meant flayed.
Flayed.
Maybe he was flailing as he got filleted or fellation or whatever.
By the way, did you notice?
I'm having many strokes.
It happens to the best of us. The last dude who's about to get stabbed and sacrificed was David Carradine's other brother. Did you notice that? How he looked just like him? Not a joke.
I did. I missed that. Which Carradine is this?
Not one of the good ones. Not a Keith Carradine, and definitely not a Robert. Sadly, Robert was available. Then I always talk about the Carradines, how you had these three brothers who were all actors, and how they looked nothing alike. Now I think David is only a half brother of the other two, but the other two also look nothing alike. It's like Keith
the
Carradine,
dad looks just like David, I think.
The dad, John Carradine, who was like a horror kind of dude back in like the 40s and 50s, way back when. David Carradine is primarily known for Kung Fu and these fucking movies.
And Kill Bill.
And Kill Bill, of course. Keith actually...
And his Strange Death.
And 100% a Strange Death. Keith Carradine kind of had a more normal career. I don't know if he was ever as famous as David, but he seemed to have normal movies that he was in. He didn't have to do the freaking Death Race 3000s or those sorts of things. Robert.
Well, David had a very distinctive look.
Yes, he did. Robert is only famous as he was. No, I don't remember. He was Lewis in all the Revenge of the Nerd movies. He was one of the main nerds.
Keith Carradine was quite good looking.
He's a handsome guy. Keith was the most handsome. No question. Yes. Robert, not so much, which is why he was able to play.
I mean, Keith Carradine was in Nashville. Yes. He was in a bunch of stuff. The Long Riders.
100%.
The moderns. I remember the moderns.
Robert
Continue.
was supposed to be an 18-year-old nerd going away to college. If he was 35, he was at least 35. He was at least 35. And I still go to bat for the first 2 Revenge of the Nerds movies. Cancel me if you will, but I still enjoy them. So
we may have to cancel you.
You may have to.
That may be something.
Anything else about Q the Winged Serpent? And I say winged.
And I was right. Keith Carradine reprised his role as Wild Bill Hickok in Deadwood.
He did. Aces and eights. Yeah. Dead Man's Hand. Only the first season of Deadwood. Spoiler alert. So.
Well, the ghost of Keith Carradine.
That would have been cool if it was the ghost that came back.
And if you haven't seen Deadwood, watch it. Just don't watch the additionally let's wrap everything up season after it was canceled.
The movie?
Yeah, oh God, it was so terrible.
Anything else about Q the Winged Serpent?
No.
Why don't we go behind the scenes then, shall we?
All right, let's go.
Writer-director Larry Cohen, according to interviews, once looked at the Chrysler Building and said, "That'd be the coolest place to have a nest." That single thought was the idea that began the creation of this movie. Who the hell would have that thought? That makes absolutely no sense.
I was looking at it, I was like, why would they leave that space all empty? You could totally build a lofty condo up there with all the views and everything. That was my thought.
They couldn't fit the giant egg and nest into the Chrysler Building's attic, so they shot these scenes in an old abandoned police building. When they were finished shooting, the crew removed everything except the nest. Close to a year later, there's an article on the front page of the New York Times. Larry Cohen said, detailing a flurry of activity from anthropologists flying into town to examine a mysterious nest found in an old abandoned police building.
Oh my God. What is this, the Blair Witch Project?
I wasn't going to say anything about it. I didn't know what the liability might be. Yeah.
Should have left the egg.
Pretty much. Let's see. Pre-production for the movie lasted 1 week. Film was conceived after Larry was fired from a big budget film shooting in New York. Cohen, determined not to waste the hotel room he had paid for, hired the actors and prepared a shooting script within 6 days.
I already paid for my hotel room.
Sweet Jesus. When they shot the scene with people firing machine guns at the beast from the top of the skyscraper, the ejected shells fell 80 stories toward the streets below.
Killing 3 people.
Luckily, they were caught by a canopy installed to prevent construction debris. So that's good. It led to Cohen.
When you were a kid, didn't you ever hear if you dropped a penny off the Empire State Building, then it would kill people because it would go through it like a bullet?
Absolutely. That didn't stop the New York Daily News from reporting a more colorful story about poor behavior by the production. It led to Cohen being told that they couldn't fire any more guns in the movie. So, sweet Jesus.
Well, good, because at the very end scene, when they're shooting the bad guy, they also shoot the victim.
Right. This film was done guerrilla style with no permits, and the sirens were genuine responses to simulated gunfire.
You bastard, you.
Oh, sweet Jesus. One thing that's kind of interesting about this is the fact that Larry Cohen had never worked with the kind of stop motion animation he would need for this. So he shot everything and then went to the stop motion people and said, "Here you go. Here's all the footage." They're like, No. You're not supposed to. We're supposed to create the creature that we're doing. And then we tell you the shots that we need. So they just were forced to kind of wing it.
He's like, what?
Wah, wah, wah. Let's see. Michael Moriarty, who is known for being very difficult to work with, got along great with writer and director Larry Cohen. So why wouldn't he? He said, do
whatever the hell you want.
100%. I love that there's an undercover cop disguised as a mime roaming around.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's smooth. Especially the part when he jumps into the police car for the chase with everybody else. Have they arrested the mime? I want to go back to the victim being shot. He gets shot in the back, but the bullet comes out of his eye when they pull him over.
Yep.
He gets shot all the way in the middle of the back. They roll him over, and it's like his eye has been shot out. So that's one magic bullet.
Let me see. What else? They had an early preview of the film prior to distribution, and a rumor started that it was a sneak preview of Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Half the audience got up and left when they realized it was a Samuel Z. Arkoff production instead. Wah, wah. So,
is that like the Richard Bachman for Steven Spielberg?
The jewelry store the bad guys robbed in the early part of the film is called Neil Diamonds.
Oh God, I didn't even notice that. That's beautiful.
Oh, sweet Jesus. I think that's about it. Let's talk about
what more do you need?
What else do you need? Let's see. This movie was written and directed by Larry Cohen. You know him from such things as God Told Me To in 1976.
I missed that one.
It's Alive in 1974.
I saw that. I caught that one.
1978. The Ambulance in 1990.
Unfamiliar.
He's still doing stuff, honestly.
Dude, can't get enough of that stuff.
We talked about Maniac Cop and The Stuff and all sorts of craziness.
Maniac Cop kind of sucks.
You forget we just reviewed it and you said you loved it.
I can't even remember. It's all blur.
Oh, sweet.
Anything's possible. I'll give you that.
David Carradine played Shepard. You know him from such things as Kill Bill Volume 2, yes. Bound for Glory in 1976, playing Woody Guthrie. He was Frankenstein in 1975's Death Race 2000.
Yes.
He was in something called Big Stan in 2007.
Unfamiliar.
And of course, 1,000 episodes of Kung Fu.
Mother loved him.
Michael Moriarty played Jimmy Quinn. You know him from Courage Under Fire in 1996. Pale Rider in 1985. Yeah, with Clint Eastwood. Cue the Winged Serpent in 1982.
I saw that.
And 88 episodes of Law and Order, playing Executive ADA Ben Stone from 90 to 90.
So it goes like this. It goes Law and Order is the apex, and right below that, Q the Winged Serpent.
Let's see. Candy Clark played Joan, who is the girlfriend of Jimmy Quinn. You know her from American Graffiti. She played Debbie in 1973.
Is that the blonde girl?
Yeah, I guess. I haven't seen American Graffiti in 100 years.
I know. It's been 1,000 years.
She was in The Man Who Fell to Earth in 1976.
I found that very boring.
Blue Thunder in 1983.
Never saw that.
Zodiac in 2007.
Oh, I might have seen that.
And we actually reviewed another movie that she's in. She played a waitress whose name I cannot remember in the remake of The Blob.
Was she practicing politics?
The Blob.
In The Blob?
Yep. She's the one who gets killed in the phone booth by the Blob. Let's see. Richard Roundtree played Powell, another one of the detectives.
Yes.
You know him from Shaft in 1971.
Shut your mouth.
I'm talking about Shaft. He was in something called Brick in 2005.
No, don't know that.
He was in the 2008 Speed Racer. And
I did not see that.
1997's George of the Jungle.
Was he Driver 8?
I always tell people, Shaft is great, but if you want the true Shaft, you have to see the sequel, Shaft's Big Score. Much better, in my opinion.
All right.
Anybody else you want to know about from Q, the Winged Serpent?
Not at all.
Well, then let's look at the ratings, shall we?
Shall we?
Q, the Winged Serpent currently has on Rotten Tomatoes 72%, which is really high.
That is freakishly high, and I think it's for the same reason that we are discussing.
Do you know what the audience gave it?
82?
43.
So the critics enjoyed it more than people that would normally go see horror movies.
Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times says, the cast also includes David Carradine, Richard Roundtree, and Candy Clark. Good actors all, but you have to be awfully good not to be upstaged by the death throes of a dying Quetzalcoatl. 2.5 out of 4. Okay. Janet Maslin of the New York Times says, the only movie in which you may ever see a gnawed, bloody skeleton wearing a gold charm bracelet. Fair. 2 out of 5. What is your rating, Aaron, of Q?
All right, my rating's going up. My rating's going up from the first time I saw this. I think we're looking at a 3.25. And I'm saying you might check it out. Not because it's a good movie, but because it's so bad it's good. This is definitely one of those, I've just come back to the bar, a little too amped up to go to sleep right away. Oh, look, Q is on. Let's put that on. And hilarity will ensue. It's the only explanation why some movies are getting watched over and over. I mean, that whole Pauly Shore success, that's from people being drunk and watching his movies. No sane person thought Pauly Shore was fantastic.
I'm not gonna disagree. I think I'm gonna give it 3, a flat 3. I don't think it's as funny as you do. In all honesty, I remember going into this. I thought I was going to be rolling in the aisle, Halloween 3 quality, and it's not. Honestly,
what can compete with Halloween 3 Season of the Witch?
No one can. Nothing can. No, it's just honestly, it's just not as funny as I'd like it to be. Is really what it comes down to. The effects.
Maybe you need to get a Zima, sit back and relax, watch it a couple more times.
And Michael Moriarty's performance, while incredibly bizarre, is not necessarily bizarre. It's not necessarily bizarre in a way that made me laugh. It was more just me shaking my head, going, "What is he doing? What are these choices?"
Sometimes that works.
So
sometimes that works. I assume this would be right up your alley.
You would think
it's the right decade. You again insisted that I watch it again.
Correct.
So we'll see.
I would put The Stuff above Q, if I'm being honest.
The Stuff is really polished. I mean,
it is.
That was really polished.
Right.
And all I'm ever going to think about, I mean, honestly, that would be the best costume when you just walk around in some of that whipped marshmallow stuff. I mean, because that's what the stuff looks like. Wouldn't that be great?
That would be great. I'd be consuming the stuff right now. No question.
I can't get enough of that stuff.
Just can't get enough of the stuff. Anywho, any last thoughts of Q, the Winged Serpent?
No, but I want to tell you,
yes.
I won some serious points at trivia night for answering a thing question.
Lay it on me. What was the question?
So the question is, I've just given you the answer, but the question was, John Carpenter normally writes the music for his own film, with the exception of what movie, and can you name the composer?
And you got both?
And I got both.
Nicely done. So what is it, Aaron?
Well, I just told you what the movie is, Kevin. So who is the composer?
Ennio Morricone?
Yes!
Yeah. Good stuff.
Alcohol gave me that answer. And I was like, wait a minute. It's The Thing. And I was like, Marconi? I was channeling it.
100%. That's not an easy question.
We came in right in the middle. We were not the worst, but we were definitely not in the winnings.
I would love to find a trivia night that I could go to and answer questions. Is it always movie trivia or is it just random stuff?
It's the Halloween trivia.
Oh, very
It's
cool.
Treehouse of Horror questions. It is. Then they have this round where you rate how you think you're going to do on the categories. And so you get more points for answering questions that you think is going to be. So it was going to be like The Conjuring, Child's Play, Friday the 13th, and Halloween. And we had to put those in order that we thought we would do the best. So, of course, I put The Conjuring, and I don't think I got The Conjuring question right.
I would rock on all Friday the 13th questions. I could do a deep dive on Friday the 13th right now.
I couldn't remember what the Child's Play doll was, but Heather came up with that.
It's a good guy's doll, right?
It's a good guy. She remembered it was the good guy.
Not my buddy.
I was like, my buddy. We know it's my buddy.
My buddy and me.
And me.
Anywho, thank you very much. Go to our pages across social media. We're still on X and Facebook for the moment. We're on Blue Sky and Threads for the moment. Also TikTok and Instagram, for goodness sake. You could be watching us on YouTube at this very moment.
Maybe. You got to see me cutting the lint off my sweater just a few minutes ago. It's so exciting.
It's so exciting. You can also email us, the podcast that wouldn't die at
Gmail.
We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you?
Won't you please?
Aaron, what is your social media situation?
Oh, I got some media, and I just sold 2 pieces of artwork on First Dibs.
Boom!
So, boom! I've got art on First Dibs and Artsy, Aaron Doherty. I am on the social media called Instagram. I am the Cult of Aaron. Join the cult.
Very cool. What I like to do is share people's thoughts and feelings about some of our movies. Aaron, you shared this one with me. And what the hell? It's hard for me to understand.
That's what they all say.
So, talking about our episode, Star Trek First Contact, Tough Times 123 commented, I love that someone made a gif of Picard shooting that Thompson at that chubby kid from the Goonies. Thanks, Tough Times.
Right on.
David at 53 commented, it's Bob from that 70s show. Okay, fair.
Yes, it is. Also commenting on the Star Trek First Contact.
Same one. And I think that's about it. I'm not sure those are particularly helpful, but thank you for commenting. Nonetheless.
But thank you for interacting with my TikTok.
Thank you very much. Next week, we're discussing the George Romero classic, the one that has nothing to do with zombies. It is the 1977 Martin. He was really farting. Anyway.
In the corner master store.
Yeah. So
nobody knows that but us.
This is about a guy who believes he's a vampire. So we'll see. I've never actually seen
he believes he is like a 400-year-old vampire.
So we're gonna find out what the story is. You can watch.
And you know what?
Lay it on me.
Oh no, go ahead, do your thing.
You can watch it with us only one way, evidently, unless you own a copy. Tubi with ads, and I often say Tubi is the best.
Tubi has everything.
It has freaking everything. What were you gonna say?
I was thinking, I've been getting a lot of ads for Only Lovers Left Alive.
Yes.
And I was thinking that it is very similar to me to The Hunger. Like if he hadn't gotten the old person disease, there would be no Susan Sarandon. So it's kind of like their life before. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting, but I think the cold hard reality is Catherine Deneuve clearly didn't care that much about her past lovers, right? To
But
subject them to this.
I know. And then they're clearly still alive
Yes.
up in storage.
Right. If you haven't listened to our The Hunger episodes, one of our earlier episodes, Catherine Deneuve is like a 2,000-year-old vampire, and from time to time, she basically turns like her lovers or whatever into vampires to be like her companions. But where she lives forever, they only live for I don't know 100 years or so, give or take.
No, I mean they were looking like they were at the court at Versailles. I mean they were together for a couple hundred years.
Maybe a couple 100 years, and then they slowly get old and shriveled, and there's nothing you can do about it, and they can't die. So then she just takes them and throws them in an old cardboard box in the attic for the rest of their lives, just to be there, like aware but unable to move, essentially. And that's the shit.
Why would she put them in the box? It feels like they should just be on open racks, like something comfortable. So if they're all visiting with each other,
but they're not. That's just her BS. Be gentle with him, my loves. Be gentle. It's like, bull. you're evil. Now, of course, she gets her just desserts at the end, so right. She gets what she gets.
She gets what she gets, and I hope she doesn't have a fit.
Absolutely. So go ahead and check out our old episode of The Hunger, but definitely watch Martin and send in any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and we may talk about it on the show. So thank you very much, and be well.
Be well.